Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this video and accompanying blog are all about how the fraught energies of the new moon of the 1st of April 2022 can be understood and used to bring healing and vision and new life direction that's needed. I'm actually amazed at what I see in this new moon. It does need to be understood carefully, fully and properly. New directions for many people need to come out of it, a new life balance. But how are we to bring it in? So in this video and blog, I detail the really important to understand energies of this new moon, and then in the part 2 video I offer suggestions for a very useful piece of vision work to contact the energies, to use them to help sort out our consciousness and our life direction. You see, there are actually chilling, fraught and wounded, even sharp energies in the 1st of April 2022 new moon. And yet its core is to find peace and protection. I'm offering a very careful analysis here, so do bear with me. This new moon calls for vision, yes, but the vision that we can develop in it must be free from escapism or illusion. And this new moon also definitely calls for strategy and discipline going forward on your path, quite possibly a path that's new in many ways. So the supreme call is for us now at the time of this new moon to become centered, to claim our sovereignty, to be truly open to the truth and the light. So this brings us to the central meaning of this new moon. It is about claiming sovereignty and finding light by healing and rising from woundedness and fraught feeling of limitation. And I would share on a personal level that this new moon is certainly super important for me to understand, because it's actually building to the full moon of April the 16th, which is conjunct my natal sun. And this month of April sees the start of my Sade Sate period. So getting this new moon of the 1st of April is certainly important for me, and I've put a lot of effort into it and want to work with it. And the same may be true for many of you. So let's start by looking at the zodiacal position of the new moon. So in the Vedic zodiac, moon is at 17 Pisces, sun is at 17 Pisces. Mercury is super close at 15 Pisces. Chiron is super close at 18 Pisces. And in terms of the super powerful and oh so valid nakshatras, which are the 27 lunar sign zodiac of Vedic astrology, which are such a supreme declaration of our emotionally based consciousness and so much more, sun and moon of this new moon are actually in the 27th and final nakshatra, Revati, which at its best and its highest is the energy of the shepherd that leads souls to God. And incidentally, the ascendant for this new moon chart, as seen here in the west of Ireland, is in Shatabhishak Nakshatra, which indeed is all about esoteric and healing awareness, often surrounded by a circle of protection. And note that in the tropical zodiac of Western astrology, sun and moon are at 11 Aries, Mercury is at 9 Aries, Chiron is at 12 Aries. But the next important thing to say is absolutely that this unusual new moon occurs at a time when we're all at a hinge of change. This is essentially, but not the only reason, because the nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, North Node and South Node, are about to change signs in April, which will affect us greatly, and I'm doing separate videos and blogs about that, and you must get a reading from me to understand the deep analysis of what the change of the nodes of the moon means for you. But not only that, several planets change signs during the month of April. Crucially, these are Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, Venus, Mars and Mercury. What a lot of change. What a lot of change of energies. So useful for us to bring in a new vision and a new pathway forward. So the atmosphere of change and of living on the edge of change can now, and in recent days and weeks, create chilling, uncertain feelings, fear and uncertainty. But this new moon also has a wonderful potential if only we can identify it. It actually has potential for deep mining into our fuller, new, needed life, into our fuller, needed new persona. We have to see that some things, some scripts, some patterns in our life must die now. We have to accept that, we have to bring it in. And many of us will need to be searching for now to be born anew, hopefully finding a new pathway forward, indeed to walk with discipline and success now. We all have to realise that we'll be each of us feeling to various degrees upset, death and rebirth, major hinge of change. So it's crucial to be aware that there's not only the change of sign of the nodes of the moon, not only the change of sign of many other planets, but also regarding the nodes of the moon, there's Kalsarpa Yoga, a fated and preposterous energy where all the planets are to one side of the nodal axis. That applies at this time, and still applies when the moon moves on to the other side of the nodal axis, because all the other planets will be to one side of the nodal axis and the moon will be feeling unsupported. It's a Kimadruma moon. So do have a look at my April 2022 Star Wheel Astrology website page for the unusual planets, positions and charts and the ephemeris. Now in the blog are the dates for the sign changes. The nodes of the moon change sign on the 12th of April. Jupiter changes sign from Aquarius to Pisces on April the 13th. Neptune changes sign from Aquarius to Pisces on the 18th. Venus changes sign from Aquarius to Pisces on the 27th. And I think we will feel with that the clouds have lifted increasingly. Venus more cheery and sweet-natured once again, dashing away from Mars and Saturn onto Jupiter and Aquarius Piscean, spring and summer. What a difference the upcoming month can make. Saturn changes sign from Capricorn to Aquarius on April the 29th, though note that he does drop back into Capricorn very shortly afterwards on July the 12th. Mars moves from Capricorn to Aquarius on the 7th of April. Mercury moves from Pisces to Aries on the 8th of April, and then from Aries to Taurus on the 26th of April. Now, I mentioned that Saturn changes sign on April the 29th. And this brings a crucial hinge issue which you need to understand, which is, of course, Sade Sate. Sade Sate is the 7.5-year period where Saturn, putting it simply, transits through the sign before the moon, the sign of your moon in your birth chart, and the sign after the moon. So for those of us who have Pisces moons, Sade Sate starts. And Sade Sate is a potentially dangerous period. It is a period of great change, of needed change, which we need to understand and not fight and cooperate with. It's like going down into a pit and arising reborn, but often we have no idea of the changes we'll be called to make as we go to the bottom of the pit, of what the new me that arises out of the pit for the second period of Sade Sate will look like. There's a possibility of health risks with Sade Sate, so we need to prioritise our health. And we need to honour and focus on and learn to understand the divine purpose of Saturn in this 7.5-year experience, which is of sending us often difficult, even tearful, even frightful energies to bring about our rebirth and our rising up again with our needed new path. Our needed new path that's more in line with our incarnational life purpose at this time. That actually our blocks so far in our life, our blocks to our vision, our prison walls, the negative manifestations of our Saturn may have prevented us from seeing or even knowing. So if you have moon in the Vedic signs of Capricorn, Aquarius or Pisces, do absolutely get in touch with me for one of my expert readings about what must die in your life now, what must arise in your life now, and what are the dangers to watch out for. What are the ways of creating newfound benefits, the newfound needed you? So I'm going on now to look more into the Western astrology chart of this new moon. And it's actually very helpful, particularly using the chart aspect shapes analysis of psychodynamic Western astrology, which I've specialised in since the mid-90s. And certainly understanding the chart aspect shapes in this new moon chart are really helpful. And as I said, you can look at the Western and the Vedic chart for this new moon on my April 22 page on my Star Wheel Astrology website. So the first personality absolutely to look at and understand is Sun, conjunct Moon, conjunct Mercury, conjunct Chiron. Really close conjunction in this 4-planet stellium. And note that this stellium, 3 planets plus Chiron, is cut off from the rest of the chart. It's not integrated into the rest of the chart. And so it can almost sort of take over, you know, depending on how it interrelates with your natal chart. I'll be looking at in a moment what Chiron Moon and Chiron Sun mean, but I want to say first of all that there is one aspect thrown to this stellium of Sun, Moon, Mercury, Chiron from another otherwise unaspected planet, Uranus, the revolution bringer. And so the wounded nature of the stellium this new moon is in is infused by the drive for revolution. See what revolution is needed in your life now, identify the details, bring them in, and that will heal the wounded feeling. That will enable you to mother yourself, open to the full potential of yourself now, and to the full potential of the energies of now. So Chiron conjunct Moon is actually an energy of prompting us to meet the need each of us most definitely have, to consciously open up to healing and mothering. We all need to mother ourselves. And when Chiron Moon is involved, it's so beneficial to assist the improvement of mothering by opening up to our non-rational lunar side of our consciousness, our shadow, the true vastness of our personality, not just the persona, the front that everyone else sees, that we can even think is just us. We need at this time to develop a profound relationship with our inner world of images. So this is very much drawing on the Jungian map of the self. Lunar consciousness reflects and illuminates the network of unseen connection that make up the web of life in the form of, well, expressing in the form of our feelings, our subtle energy fields and images. And remember, Uranus is now agitating each of us, storming each of us to bring this in a new way to the benefit of each. But so Chiron is conjunct Sun too. Chiron's Sun is a wound to us aligning with our innate sense of destiny, the true and proper you or me, the healed you or me. So we will be so well advised to ask at the time of this new moon and the ensuing lunation, building to the full moon of the 16th and then to the eclipse, who is the unique me? Do I burn with purpose and creativity as I was born to do? Do you see how this new moon offers such healing if you take the time to understand the astrology, if you take the time to do the needed, I would say, needed vision work? So the second sub-personality seen in the Western chart for the new moon is Saturn conjunct Venus and Mars. Fraught, tense, irate Venus of Mars have been bringing irate dimensions to our relationships for some time. And Saturn brings frustration to Mars, and Saturn brings impediment to Venus, making the showing of love more difficult. That is the three-planet energy of the second sub-personality of this new moon. And actually, it is a fated thing for us to have to deal with it, because this stellium of Saturn, Venus, Mars is actually square to the nodal axis. So how you and I handle that three-planet tense energy is important for our transition from our past to our future, and indeed can have fated incarnational life purpose dimensions because it's square the nodal axis. So we must stop manifesting Saturn in our life and in our consciousness as blocks and prison walls and limiting karmas. What this second stellium is saying at its better is that we will need discipline, maybe slow, steady growth, and methodical ways to grow as a person and to do the needed things that must be brought in now and to walk the needed new path forward. Doing it this way will stop burnout. But there's a third personality that is super valuable to understand if we're to understand the fullness of the energies of the new moon. And this is what's called an ambivalence figure. So it's where there is an opposition between the nodes, Rahu the north node opposite Ketu the south node, but a sextile and a trine are formed from the opposition. At the apex of the sextile and trine is the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So do look at the Western chart for this new moon on my April 2022 website page on the Star Wheel Astrology website. You can see how immensely valuable understanding chart aspect shapes from psychodynamic astrology is. So this ambivalence figure basically says there will be tension, pressure and conflict from the nodal axis, and it will flip us into the energy of the apex planet at the head of the sextile and the trine, Jupiter-Neptune. Now, Jupiter and Neptune are usually drawn in, the sextile and the trine are usually drawn in blue lines, opposition in a red line. And so you can see that we human beings will want to flip quite often from the tension of the red opposition line into the restful blue nature of the sextile and trine, flipping into the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. But the danger is we might only seek to see beauty and goodness. It could even be escapist. It could even be Pied Piper to use Jupiter-Neptune